Port Charles has never lacked for drama, but in recent weeks, the turbulence has reached a boiling point, especially when it comes to Brennan, Carly, and Jocelyn. What begins as a shocking romantic gesture spirals into a storm of betrayal, secrets, and an epic family fracture. This 4,000-word General Hospital Spoilers article dives deep into Brennan's twisted proposal to Carly Corinthos, the unthinkable decision she makes, and Jocelyn Jack's desperate, yet ultimately powerless, attempt to stop her mother from walking into the arms of the enemy. At the Metro Court rooftop bar, the Port Charles skyline shimmered under the twilight as Carly leaned against the railing, sipping white wine. The past few months had been an emotional hurricane. Jason's return, Sunny's relentless war with Sidwell, and the confusion of her own heart. But tonight felt strangely calm, and that unsettled her more than any chaos. Behind her, the elevator doors opened. Brennan, dressed sharply, tailored suit, not a wrinkle out of place. He approached with purpose, holding a black velvet box. Carly turned, sensing his presence before hearing his voice. "I've waited long enough," Brennan said, his voice smooth, confident, dangerous. "It's time I give you what you deserve." Carly stared at him, stunned by the box in his hand. "What are you doing?" Brennan knelt. "I'm asking you to marry me." Carly's breath caught. Memories flooded her, Sunny's many betrayals, Jason's mysterious disappearances, and the fleeting peace she had found with Drew before everything fell apart. Brennan had been lurking in the shadows for months, circling her like a wolf who found a wounded deer. "No," she whispered instinctively, taking a step back. "This isn't a joke." Brennan stood. "I'm not joking. You've lost enough, Carly. I'm offering stability, power, safety. But you're dangerous," she said, her voice shaky. "You work in shadows. And yet, every man you've ever loved has lived in them," he countered. "Don't lie to yourself, Carly. You don't want safety. You want control. I can give it to you." His gaze pierced her. For a moment, Carly hesitated. She had seen what Brennan could do, how effortlessly he dismantled Sidwell's East Coast operations, how the mere whisper of his name sent mob bosses scrambling. He wasn't like Sunny or Jason. He was colder, smarter, ruthless in a way that felt oddly safe. And that terrified her. Across town, Jocelyn Jack sat with Trina at Kelly's, the weight of the past few days pressing on her chest. She had noticed her mother disappearing at odd hours, the texts from unknown numbers, the evasiveness when asked simple questions. When Gio mentioned seeing Brennan and Carly together near Spoon Island, Joss's stomach had twisted. Now, something dark clutched her spine. She pulled out her phone and accessed the Metro Court's private rooftop camera feed. A trick Spinelli had once shown her. And there it was. Brennan on one knee. Carly staring, stunned. "No, no, no," Jocelyn muttered. "She's not really considering this, is she?" Trina leaned over the screen, her face pale. "Joss, you need to stop this." "I will." Jocelyn stormed into the Metro Court like a woman possessed. The elevator seemed to crawl toward the top floor, each second stretching unbearably long. By the time the doors opened, her heart was pounding in her ears. She rushed onto the rooftop, just in time to see Carly reaching for Brennan's hand. "No!" Joss screamed. Carly turned, startled. Brennan's expression didn't change. "Don't do this." Jocelyn's voice cracked with desperation. "You don't know what you're getting into." "I know exactly what I'm doing," Carly said coldly, her walls already up. "You're making a deal with the devil. You think Sunny was bad? You think Jason was complicated? This man destroys lives for sport." Brennan stepped forward. "Careful, Jocelyn. I'm still your mother's guest." "You're a snake," Joss snapped. "And she's too tired to fight you off." Carly's eyes flickered. For a moment, the mask dropped and her exhaustion bled through. But then she hardened. "I don't need your protection," she told Jocelyn. "I'm not some weak damsel who needs saving." "Then why are you doing this?" Jocelyn asked. Carly looked at Brennan. "Because I'm done losing. I'm choosing power for once." Within hours, the news spread through Port Charles like wildfire. Carly Corinthos accepts Brennan's proposal, screamed the Port Charles Press headline. Jason stared at the article in stunned silence. Sonny hurled a glass at the wall. Michael was unreachable, reportedly storming out of Yelku. Even Ava, who usually delighted in Carly's missteps, looked concerned. Anna and Jordan convened in private. Brennan marrying Carly wasn't just a scandal, it was a threat. With Carly's access to major Port Charles players and Brennan's secretive resources, they were facing a political nightmare. But no one was more devastated than Jocelyn. Jason Morgan appeared at Carly's door the next morning, silent as death. Carly opened the door cautiously, but she knew he would come. "You said no when Sonny tried to win you back," Jason said. "But Brennan gets a yes?" "I'm not here to explain myself," Carly said stiffly. "I'm not asking," Jason replied. "I'm telling you, he's dangerous. He's using you." "You think I don't know that?" Carly shouted. "You think I haven't watched every man in my life lie to me, leave me, betray me, or die? Brennan at least gives me a choice." Jason's jaw clenched. "It's the wrong one. Maybe. But it's mine." Unbeknownst to everyone, Brennan's proposal wasn't just romantic, it was strategic. Marrying Carly gave him legal ties to her assets, businesses, and contacts. But more than that, it gave him emotional leverage over Jason, Sonny, and even the Justice Department. He met with a shadowy figure in an undisclosed location, an assistant district attorney who owed Brennan a favor. A plan was set in motion to destabilize Sonny's empire further, while Jason's parole file was quietly flagged. In marrying Carly, Brennan wouldn't just gain a queen. He'd gain total access to Port Charles. And no one would be safe. Jocelyn turned to Spinelli, desperate. "I need everything on Brennan," she said. Spinelli hesitated. "This isn't some internet cleanup job, Joss. This man plays in international waters. You poke the bear, he'll strike." "I don't care," she said, eyes hard. "I'm going to save my mother." She uncovered something chilling. Brennan had been married before. 3 times. Each woman ended up dead or disappeared. Official causes: accidents, suicides. But the timelines were suspect. The last one had vanished only 2 years ago, and her body was never recovered. Jocelyn compiled everything into a file. She planned to go public. But before she could act, her laptop was stolen. Her phone wiped. A message appeared on her bathroom mirror. "Stay out of this." She made her choice. Despite Jocelyn's protests and the town's whispers, Carly moved forward with the engagement. Invitations were sent. The wedding was to be held at Windermere, a symbolic location, given its dark history and ties to power. Diane Miller begged Carly to get a prenup. Carly refused. Jason and Sonny met in private. Their alliance, once fractured, now reformed by a common enemy. "If she marries him," Sonny said, "we may have to go after her too." Jason shook his head.
"No."
"We save her before she walks down that aisle." "But how?"
Sonny asked.
Jason's eyes darkened. "We take Brennan down first." Windermere stood silent under a gray sky as guests gathered. Carly, radiant in an ivory gown, looked both regal and distant. Brennan waited at the altar, composed as always, a smirk barely veiled. Jocelyn stood outside the gates, shaking. She had nothing left, no proof, no allies, no time. But as the ceremony began, the doors burst open. Jason, Sonny, and Anna entered, flanked by a small unit of WSB agents. "This wedding is over," Anna declared. Carly gasped. Brennan's hand slowly reached into his jacket, before Jason was already there, gun trained. "Don't," Jason warned. Jocelyn appeared at Carly's side. "Please, Mom. Come back to us." Anna stepped forward with a USB drive. "We have evidence connecting Brennan to 3 international disappearances, including his last fiancée." Brennan's cool facade finally cracked. "You think this stops me?" he hissed. Carly stared at him, stunned. "You used me," she whispered. Brennan finally looked at her, his face unreadable. "You let me." Brennan was taken into custody. The wedding was cancelled. Carly stood alone in the Windermere chapel, the smell of roses clinging to the empty air. Jocelyn walked up to her quietly. I tried to stop you, she said. Carly nodded. I know. I'll never let you fall like that again. Carly pulled her into a tearful embrace. And I'll never stop trying to stand again. In the shadows outside the Windmere Chapel, a figure watched the Corinthos family reunite. Daisy, she whispered into a burner phone. Brennan's out of the picture. Move forward with phase 2. The voice on the other end,